Hello, thanks for listening to the Finance Leadership Podcast. It's the latest update and news about the Finance Leadership Programme. It's produced by AICPA and CIMA together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants. You can find out more at aicpa.org and aicpa-cima.com. So you're listening to myself, Kevin Gormley, as usual. I'm joined today by a student now member who is in the UK. Her name is Shirley Hendrick. Good morning, Shirley. Could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background, please?
Good morning, everybody. Thanks, Kevin, for having me. I work in the music industry, have done since my very early 20s, working with the same company, thankfully and gratefully, for the last almost 30 years. We work with legends of the music industry, work with and for, I should say, some of the major names and major players in the industry, together with their managers and collaborations with other promoters around the world, to create world tours. And as you can imagine, the last few years were pretty tricky for us as an industry. We pretty much came to a standstill in 2020 when we were all shut down and locked down. But before that, as I say, I started my career with our organisation when I was 21 as an accounts junior, just, the archetypal sitting in the corner raising 1,000 sales invoices a day. And slowly people left to further their careers elsewhere, and I stayed and became part of a family, as we like to call ourselves, dysfunctional at times, but a family. And I'm sure they wouldn't mind me saying that. But I've pretty much just worked my way into the organisation and became the day-to-day accounts manager, for want of a better title, mentoring and working with teams of up to 5 at any one time, depending on how busy we were with touring commitments. It's not just the UK that we promote and produce tours for, it's worldwide. And it's a cyclical organisation, so it pretty much lends itself to project accounting. So now I am considered the company's tour accountant, where it's my job to reconcile every aspect of the tour that we're promoting, income recording, expenditure paid out, the monies to artists, foreign entertainers tax, you name it. We're pretty eclectic we have been pretty eclectic in our roster of artists that we've promoted over the years. I won't name drop, but they're pretty big and well renowned. And at the moment, we are currently promoting one said artist in South America and Mexico. So we're wide reaching, and we're a small organisation, but we like to say we're small but mighty. We have the human touch, and we're not a conglomerate. We're not a massive organisation, but everyone in our company are, I'd like to say, experts at what we do, and I think we're second to none. So yeah, but I'm biased because I've been there almost 30 years.
And just really a question just come to mind, because I've had some trouble getting tickets for some events. Would you be a lady to come and get tickets for these tours?
Let me say, if I had £1 for every time someone asked me if I could get Oasis tickets, I wouldn't need to qualify. I'd be sat on a beach with a pina colada somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, no, I anticipated that was going to be a response, so I thought yeah. Okay. No, great.
Over the years, you do what you can for people, but it's not something I like to do, because then it becomes, we know you can do it rather than can you do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And oftentimes, let me say, for those that try to get tickets for nothing, it's never up to the promoter to give them away for nothing. It's part of a much bigger discussion.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's an interesting area to work in, very dynamic, and obviously.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, when they ask me what I do and what industry I work in, it must be so exciting. It must be, you must meet all the famous people. Yes, you do cross paths with some of them, but at the end of the day, they're still human beings, and we still have to give them privacy, respect, and not be starstruck, because they're also getting on stage and doing their job, and we're behind stage doing ours. And the two things dovetail to make a great experience for the audience. And really, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, no, exciting. But probably more interesting than a lot of jobs. But yeah, as you say, everybody plays a part in a big
it's a massive cog, and it's a lot of people come together to create that 3-hour experience for the legends that we work with, who give you a 3-hour experience. That's what you want, is for the audience to come away thinking they've had a proper treat and they've had their value for money. That's all we can ask for.
Yeah, no, there's nothing like live music. I'm a big fan.
Live music brings, as one of my directors likes to say, music brings the world together.
Yeah. And it's all the memories it invokes as well when you're an audience member, so.
Absolutely.
No, it's an interesting space. And did you always want to be an accountant, or were you like a lot of people in life where you stumbled into things and
yeah.
You've described your background quite a lot, but some people are very single-minded, the age of 16, 17. Oh, I want to become an accountant, and they know why.
Yeah. When I was 14, I wrote to Lloyd's Bank and said, I'd like to be a bank manager. Could I come in and do a week's work experience, please? And then I swiftly learned that being a bank manager was not for me. And I kind of, like a lot of people, I fell into accounting. I worked as an accounts clerk in a high-end clothing store in the West End, worked in a university, basic data entry, but back then it wasn't on a computer, it was in a book. And then I stumbled across a really small ad for the company I work for still to this day. And it wasn't a fact of, I love numbers, I really want to be an accountant. It was, like a lot of people, I need a job and I'm quite good at this, whether it's what I want to do for the rest of my life or not. And I stuck with it. And we had really exciting times. My directors bought a basketball team. We diversified quite a lot when I first joined. So it wasn't just about putting numbers on a spreadsheet or doing data entry. It was a lifestyle. It was also a massive part of my growing up as an adult. And I just became more and more skilled at what I did, and more part of an organisation that value their staff. And I think that was far more important to me than qualifying at that time.
Yeah. And you often find it too. There's a lot of people in careers that don't specifically make a decision to do a certain thing. They're drawn to careers or jobs that they know their skills suit. So you end up falling into a career or pathway because it's just your set of skills, and that's you're one of those. Yeah.
I very quickly learned, when I became responsible for reporting for the touring commitments that we have, that I really loved the fact that there was an end to something, which really lent itself to project accounting. You have your start, your middle, and the end, and then you say thank you very much and you move on to a new project. So I think that's in all honesty what really drew me to CIMA. And rather than going for the ACCA route, because I can't think of anything worse than sitting in an accountant's office punching clocks in and out. But that's just me personally. I was far more drawn to the project side of accounting.
Yeah. So the nature of the syllabus and the outcome was very much your decision about the professional body then?
Absolutely. I think if you are involved in project-based accounting in any form, not something, it doesn't have to be something as dynamic as our industry, but it sits perfectly within that space.
Yeah. And tell us a little about your journey. So now you're obviously qualified. Surely you've got your CGMA, but a little bit about your journey. So how you began. I know you moved across to the finance leadership pathway, but just give us a little summary of that journey, how long it took you, etc.
As I think I said a little earlier, when we hit lockdown in 2020, our industry was completely crushed for a time. The entertainment industry as a whole was wiped out. So obviously there were no tours, so we were all at home on furlough. And although you have your general accounting responsibilities, month-end, year-end, back returns, blah blah blah, tax returns, whatever it is, we had no work, we had no tours, and after a year of sitting at home, which quite frankly was a blessing because as a company we don't stop. It's tour upon tour upon tour, and I don't think we all realised quite how tired we were until we had to stop moving. And then I had a year at home, and then 2021, we looked like we were going into another lockdown, and it became, okay, I need to do something or I'm going to go insane. And I just felt at that time, if I had the opportunity and the space to do the learning whilst at home and not have that commitment to work, then that was the perfect opportunity. So I looked at CIMA and talked it through with my partner, who had just got a qualification the year before. And I thought, I wish I'd have done it in 2020, but who knew we were going to be locked down for as long as we were. So yeah, at the beginning of 2021, I thought, right, I'm just gonna go for it, because I was, approaching 50 and just thought it's kind of now or never. So I looked into it, talked it over with my bosses, who were completely supportive, and just thought it would be a wonderful use of my time, really. And so I started on operational level, because I had done AAT about 25 years ago, and had never progressed from that because work just pretty much took over most of my time. So I did operational level. I took all 3 exams in 2021. I sat OCS in February 22, and then the world opened up again, and everybody wanted to tour, and all of a sudden it was, oh, crumbs, I really want to get on and kick on with management level. But then I pretty much lost the rest of 2022 to our touring commitments, which rapidly ramped up and took over all of my time again. So I was a little disheartened, thinking, am I ever going to be able to finish it? Am I ever going to be able to fit it in? Because work was just all consuming. But that's the nature of the job. I know the nature of my job in the industry. And I just, I thought, okay, I've got operational level under my belt. I've done really well. Let's wait and see when I can kick on and get on with management. And then I was a member of the Facebook group for CIMA, and I saw some articles about FLP and that it was available in Ireland and people were doing really well on it. And again, as I said, I listened to a podcast with the guy that had qualified during lockdown, and it really made me think, if that's open to me as an option, why wouldn't I take it? I'll talk a little bit more about how I found the platform, but I watched out for when it was going to be available in the UK. And I sat down with one of my directors and our company accountant, and I just said, I really feel like this is the only way I'm going to be able to get it done, because of the flexibility that it offers. And it wouldn't impact my role in the office. I could, I'd read up about it, and I think it's going to be the way forward for me. And again, they were unwavering in their support and just wanted to see me qualify and achieve what I had said I wanted to achieve. And, going back to studying after so long was tough, and the older you get, the harder it is to retain information. The more responsibility you have at work, the more of your brain space that takes up. So I just thought it would be a really positive way that I could push on and not half finish something. So they were really keen for me to just get started on it. And as soon as it became available, which I think was in the autumn of 22, I signed up. and I sat MCS in May 23, and then I sat SCS in November 23, and I got the pass that I was looking for in the January 24 results window. So it was, I managed to really kick on in 2023, and in between, I might say, two of the biggest touring commitments our company has ever had, with me traveling up and down the country to service the tours, but it was, again, I'll talk about how I found the platform, but it was a really proud moment to be able to find a way to achieve what I had wanted to achieve, and not feel like I had to give up because I couldn't give it everything. And I think that's a really important part of finding a way to get the result that you want without compromise. And by jumping to FLP, I didn't have to compromise, and I didn't have to stop what I was trying to achieve, and that was really important to me.
Yeah, and that is obviously the vast amount of experience you've had, Shirley, has really helped you and stood you in a good stead, with getting through the MCS and the SCS, because you, with someone with your experience, you can bring so much out to bear in the practical application of the knowledge that you've picked up with junior study. So, in terms of how you found using FLP, obviously it sounds like it was a positive experience for you personally.
It really was. I took a little while to navigate the various pages and the various aspects of it. But what I really enjoyed was I'm very much a visual learner. I need to see things. I need to see progress. I need to see where am I at any point in time. I like having a goal, which again lends itself to my project accounting. I like to see that there's going to be an end result. And visually, I found it really helpful, because you can say how many competencies you want to complete each week, and then it will pop up with, okay, if you do that many competencies this week, your estimated end date is going to be this. So it was purely the flexibility that I loved. I could read the text on the tube, on the train, in my lunch break, during meetings I wasn't enjoying very much. So you might want to edit that bit out. But it was just the flexibility for me, and it was very easy reading. I really enjoyed the user-friendly aspect of it. It felt like you were reading a lot of text, but then you would get to the little competency tests, and you think, okay, I'm really going to have to read this, because you can't move on until you pass them. Granted, you could keep guessing which answer was the correct one out of 4 until you got the correct one and move on, but then you're not learning. And so then when you reach the end of it, you get the scenario test, which then I found really useful, because it was giving you, it let you imagine a real life scenario in the workplace. It wasn't just select all that apply, or which out of these is the correct answer, or do this to 4 decimal places. I really enjoyed the real world aspect of it, and you really had to put yourself into that company to figure out the correct solution.
That's the business simulation assignments.
Yes, and I think that they are, in a way, they're almost like mini case studies.
They are, yes.
So that it gets you thinking not just about I have to find the correct answer, but particularly in management level, they're asking your opinion, whether your opinion is the opinion that they want to hear, or the opinion that someone else might not have the same opinion. You're in that part of your career, you're being asked for your opinion and to give recommendation. And I did find those really, really useful, because then answers, I hate the word answers, but the suggested different possible answers, it made you think about it in a different way as well. So if they said, yes, we can see why you might have chosen that, but then you scroll down and it says, well, also, So it really opens you up, I think, to different opinions and different ways of viewing things. But it was the flexibility for me, purely and simply. And as again, the visuals, you can see the ticks getting ticked off every time you pass a section test, every time you pass the business simulation. And it was just, for me, it was a great visual aid and a great encouragement to keep going, because you could see you were almost there. And for me, that was really, really encouraging.
So the positive reinforcement of progress. So that's important to people, so they can see they're making progress.
Whereas, it was really clever goal setting.
Yeah. I look at you. My experience when you open a big textbook is it's just it's an impossible task to get through this. Whereas I think what you said, the visual feedback, you can see progress, and it's like almost like mile markers on a long journey. So. When you're on the motorway and you see the numbers counting down to your destination, it's...
Yeah. And you're like, okay, keep going.
Exactly.
Keep going.
Yeah.
And it, I was very fortunate that my bosses said, if you're going to do it, go all in and do the Skills Premium Plus option. So I had the live classes, which were also recorded. If I didn't have time, if I was at work, I could go back and watch them. And also the other thing that I really loved about the live class aspect of it is that I met some great fellow students in those classes. And live classes are not for everybody. They can be quite overwhelming. If you're a self-learner, you might find that a compromise too far. So you can watch the live you can watch the recordings back. You don't have to participate live. But I did meet some great students from all walks of life, from all at different ages. And we formed a little WhatsApp group, as you sometimes do with a study group. And we went through MCS together. And then when we passed MCS, they were really encouraging. No, we're going to go for SCS in November. Whereas I thought, I'll do it early this year. No, we're doing it in November. No, we're going to do it. And so, a massive, massive shout out and thank you to those guys, because I was ready to sit back on my laurels, and they were just like, no, we're going to get it done. We're going to get it done this year, and we're all going to get it done this year. So it was a real sense of camaraderie as well.
Yeah, I suppose that's the one of the benefits of live classes is the cohort based learning. Is your people on the same journey, essentially to the same goal.
Yeah, and also people have different views on things, and so if you didn't think of a question, someone else would jump in and go, well, actually, what about that? Or if you're a little bit unconfident, come forward and say you don't understand something. Invariably, if you don't understand it, someone else is not going to. And so I really enjoyed the live class aspect of it, although I couldn't always attend them. So again, the flexibility of the recordings, the flexibility of just doing 20 minutes in the morning on the train, it was just a really great option for me, because I can honestly say that if I had stuck with the traditional route, I probably wouldn't be qualified now.
Yeah, no, it does afford students the flexibility, as you say.
It really, really does. And I think that flexibility adds so much value to the learning process, that you don't get downhearted and you don't get despondent and you don't give up, because you have the flexibility and you still have to find time, you still have to commit, you still have to go, 2 feet in, you still have to do the work, and I know that some people think FLP is an easier route than traditional. Let me tell you, it is not. You still have to study those case studies. You still have to know your material. You still have to be able to sit there for 3 hours and give comprehensive answers based on knowledge that you have learned. And you have to learn it. I just think it gives people greater options and opportunities. And that's what life's about, right? Giving yourself more opportunities.
Yeah. No, it's just a different way to study to allow students to fit around lifestyle.
Absolutely.
because there would have been a perception, particularly for anyone listening who's maybe considering studying accounting, that 3 to 4 years of hell, you never leave the house, you study all the time. But that has largely changed for most professional bodies, even outside accounting. There's a lot of professional bodies outside our space that have moved to this type of assessment and methodology for learning. So, I mean, this is just it's innovation. We didn't have this technology 50 years ago to allow our students to do this way. We now do. So why not embrace it? And
exactly,
you know, if you look at a lot of universities now, my son just started university this year. He's doing the same degree as I did, which I did a long time ago. And he's just informed me that he has no official sit-down exams as part of this. They're doing this type of assessment and case studies. And I'm hearing it so much now from most of the younger people who start university that this is now how they're being assessed. So this is not out of the ordinary or against the grain of assessment methodology. It's just
no. And also I think that a lot of young people are traumatized by the pressures of exams. And I think as a young person at that stage of their lives, dealing with what they're dealing with internally, to have to sit and cram for all of those exams can lead to massive anxiety. And I think if you go on to further education and accounting is something that you want to get into, you're then looking at another 12 exams. And if you have exam anxiety, then that's a non-starter for you. And I think exams are, controversially, I think they're overrated, because some people can be really good learners and exam passers. And then once the exam's done, the information has left their brain, because their only goal was to pass the exam, not to learn the content and take it into their career.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the things that I say quite often, actually, Shirley, is learning's not just for an exam, it's for life. So
absolutely,
the way you learn will normally be demonstrated in how you apply it. So if you learn for a short window, then your brain does not retain the information. Whereas learning iteratively, it's more likely to stay in there because you're learning in smaller pieces, and it's not for a purpose as such.
Yeah, and not everybody has the luxury of learning by experience.
Yes, of course.
So the two often don't go hand in hand. You're learning the technical side of things, but you don't have the opportunity to apply them within your day-to-day job. So the two go hand in hand, but if you are at the point where you're doing the technical learning, then learn it. Don't just learn it to pass the exam so you can say you've moved on.
Yeah, exactly. And just a couple more things I want to ask you before we wrap up, but you obviously qualified later in your career, as you mentioned earlier. So we have a lot of students who maybe have followed the same sort of journey you have, and have got to a stage where they probably thought, well, life's too short. I can't cope with it anymore. Or I can't finish short. I'm too late in my career, and obviously I don't think you're too late for doing anything that you want to achieve in life. But do you have any advice or anything that you would?
Do you know what I would say? If you want to start, just start. I think the older we get, we procrastinate more. We wonder what's going to go wrong before we wonder what we're going to do right, because we don't have the exuberance of youth. There have been enough ups and downs in our lives to know that it's risk and reward. And I think that if you are at a point in your career where it's not so much about stagnation, but it's about, for me, it was about personal achievement. I don't plan on leaving my organization anytime soon. So I'm still in the professional position I was in, but my personal confidence has been boosted no end. And when I do decide to venture on, or things change, or life changes within our company, then I'm at an age where I hate the words competing against another human being for a position. But in the cold light of day, if you have those letters after your name, that's going to be valued in advance of your personality or your experience or your loyalty or your commitment. Those things will grow once you get into those roles. Once your next employer sees who you are, that will come. But if you really, I think if you have the time, if you feel you have the time, you have to be honest with yourself. It's not an easy qualification to gain. If it was, everyone could do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But if you really think that you have the mental space and you have the support, a supportive home life, because it does take you out of your home life whilst you're studying. If you must have supportive employers, you can't have people blocking your progress. And I think you just need to be, and some employers might be worried, right, that you're going to qualify and move on. But I think I think you really have to say to them, explain to them the added value that you're going to bring to them and their organisation. And I just feel really passionate about people of any age, but definitely older, women of a certain age. Women get overlooked for so many positions as it is. It's a male-dominated world. We all know that. But as a woman, if you start on the so-called equal footing as your male counterpart and you have those letters after your name and you're qualified, you can't be ignored. You know, if a man goes for the position and he's qualified and you're a female with 20 years experience but not qualified, who do you think they're going to give the job to? It's not going to be the woman who's not qualified. I'm not going to get into gender-based discussion, but I think it's really important for women of any age to empower themselves. And again, it's all about giving yourself the opportunity to be heard and to say, no, I can do this job and I've got the skills and I've got the qualification. And it doesn't matter what age you are. It's about the value you can bring to that organization. And if, as I say, if you think you've got the time to devote to it, if you think that every other area in your life is an even keel, just start. I didn't doubt my ability to learn. I doubted my ability to be able to fit it all in.
Yeah, that's a good summary, actually, I have to say. Yeah.
And then when FLP came up, I did not doubt that anymore. And I'm the proof. I did MCS and SCS in 1 year.
Yeah, that's a good achievement.
You know, and I had my goal. I wanted to qualify by the time I was 50. And that was my goal. And I've done it. And I think that the sense of achievement far outweighs the stress of getting to that point.
Great. Okay. Just some noise in the background there.
I know.
So we'll leave it there. Thanks very much for your time, obviously. Speak with us today and share your story and your experience. It's been hugely beneficial for our listeners, no doubt.
You're welcome.
So there's plenty to explore on this topic via the show notes. To view them, just click on the episode's info icon in the podcast app or on your smartphone or tablet, or open the episode in your computer's web browser. For more information on FLP, go to enroll.cgma.org. If you know a friend or colleague who could use this information, feel free to share it with their networks. You'll see the sharing buttons on the podcast app. That's it for now. We'll have another episode next month. Goodbye.
This content is designed to provide illustrative information with respect to the subject matter covered and does not represent an official opinion or position of the AICPA, the Association, or CIMA. It is provided with the understanding that they are not engaged in offering legal, accounting, or other professional services. If such advice or expert assistance is required, the services of a competent professional person should be sought. The AICPA, the Association, and CIMA make no representations, warranties, or guarantees as to, and assume no responsibility for, the content or application of the material contained herein, and especially disclaim all liability for any damages arising out of the use of, reference to, or reliance on such material.